Hello and welcome back to the Honest Lab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why do we do this on a Friday night, Master King?
Friday night is horror night. Woo!
Absolutely. Don't adjust your sets, folks. There is no guest this week. It's just me and the King.
Poor
We're gonna
old
run it.
the G-Man had too many guests over the last few months, so we said we might as well bring it back to what we really are.
This was one of our more popular parts of the show that we neglected for a little while because we were busy with guests.
And
Not that that was a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing. Absolutely. But yeah, we're bringing it right back to the kind of core elements of the show tonight.
This one we started way back in the 1920s. This was our best of.
Yeah.
What do we call it? The best to rewatch of the decades.
10 from the blah 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 whatever.
It was 5 all the way up till now.
Because you couldn't do only 5 in these decades. So
we're up to 1970, and this is when horror really kind of started to ramp up. A lot of there's some heavy hitters in this one.
And you know something, doing the research for this, Greg, I saw you. Our artwork was was a puller.
It's just, and this wasn't when it was computer. This was someone drawing it.
Yeah.
Like even when you look back to the likes of like the Jaws or Alien, Texas Chainsaw was more of a drawing of a photo.
Yeah.
Halloween was kind of basic, a drawing of a knife and a pumpkin, which was synonymous to that franchise now. Like it's just, this is when cinema was original, really.
Oh, absolutely. And I think horror was really starting to get its clout then in the 70s.
Yeah, like we just moved out of Hammer, really, and kind of went into when America took over.
Yeah, this is it now. This is where they really start taking over, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, British horror is great when it's done right. We've seen that really with Neil Marshall's of the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
And so on and so forward. But yeah, I think horror in America is the forefront, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I know myself and Ian have said on shows, myself and yourself have said Spanish horror, Japanese horror, fucking phenomenal to watch. But there's not many top tier ones.
No, none that you'd like. The 10 that we have on this list, by the way, it's collective. We've collaborated on our list, by the way, because it's such a difficult decade to, we could do a list of our 10 we have our own 10s, but what we did was we got together what we have, and we've made a combined list of 10. So when we call them out, we'll tell you where they were on each of our lists. So but I mean, you couldn't do something like this, I don't think,
with 5. True.
Yeah.
Like if you did 5, you're gonna leave out 2, maybe 3 of the biggest horror films at that time.
Yeah.
Well, look, but you know what? Fuck it. Will we just jump straight in?
We will, but one thing I do want to say is that this is our list. It's no one else's list, and if you don't agree with our list, that's fine. You're totally entitled to. But if you're watching this, then you want to know what films we like, and so
this is what we're telling you to go and watch.
Exactly. So starting off at number 10, we would go with The Abominable Dr. Phibes, which is 1971, and it has the amazing Vincent Price as the
late great Vincent Price.
My God, what an amazing character actor,
What an amazing actor in general.
In general, what I love about this.
Look.
Well, would you believe in this? You were saying it's a while since you've seen this, but you have seen it. He doesn't say a word in this. It's all about his looks and his movements, and it's creepy.
It's the eyes from him.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Even the Simpsons, when they had that character that was him, was brilliant.
Yeah, they got about him. But I remember seeing this. I was young enough as well, and like that, it was creepy. It was very creepy, rather than scary. I think more creepy than anything else. And the makeup and all was it was 1971.
There's some comedy elements to it as well, if I remember rightly, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but just it's coming at the start of the 70s, and it still has that 60s vibe to it. I feel
still very Hammer-like, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But a very enjoyable watch. And there's a second one as well, of course. I can't remember the name of it, but it has Dr. Fives in the name, which is good as well. But like this was the original one, so you know that's why it's on the list. It was number 5 on my list. I don't think it made your list, did it, Greg? But
It it did not. As I says, I haven't seen it, and I must have been
yeah,
about 12, so we're talking about 20 years.
yeah. So you're gonna find out there's literally one or two that didn't make some of our lists, but we agreed on.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is I think this is a really what you call it, strong list, you know. But
So
yeah,
the one on my list that actually dropped out to facilitate this one was the Amityville Horror, and I think it's a fair drop because it did not age particularly well.
mm.
Not that the Ryan Reynolds one was much better, but um, yeah, that was the one that went down now for an honorable mention for me then, because obviously we switched the list around.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
will I tell one of my honorable mentions now, or will I wait till the end? Or
Go on, you can tell it now. Go on.
well, I had the Wicker Man in there, but it didn't make our
Not the
combined.
bees.
Yeah, no, no. Oh Christ! Oh Jesus Christ! Without Edward Woodward, you know.
Yeah.
Forget about the Nick
I remember,
Cage lad.
I remember going to see the Nick Cage one in the cinema. I was like, "What is going on here?"
You just have to laugh at it, don't you?
I don't even think he knows what he done in that movie. To be honest,
He was out of his face on something. He had to have been.
money.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Right.
yeah, so that's number 10, and that was The Abominable Dr. Fives.
Right. Moving swiftly on to number 9, making his entrance in 1978, alongside another couple of big hitters that you'll see later on in the list. This was one where it became apparently creepy to have a kid. This was The Omen.
Oh yeah, very good.
Not one of my favorite franchises to watch,
No.
but obviously it was groundbreaking as well, having a kid as a bad guy.
I think the first one would have been just brilliant as a standalone.
Yeah, and
know?
it didn't need 1 to 75 later.
No, and that's the problem. Sometimes I think that's the one downfall I think with horrors, apart from the remakes, is the cash in of the, flogging the thing. But this is a great creepy, another great creepy, and the music in this as well is just.
And then, do you remember that scene where he's standing and the spike of the tower comes down?
Yeah.
Oh, it was like that kid was fantastic. His name evades me at this minute in time. Like overall the movie was brilliant, and obviously went on to have some big actors later on in the franchise and stuff. Overall 9 was probably about fair. I don't think you could do the list without having it in it, really.
No, well, and again, you could, but
you could, like, as it says, we've talked about it before. I'm not really a possession kind of movie guy. Don't get me wrong, I do like the likes of The Conjuring and stuff, but there's not very many of them that do it for me. Obviously this one, The Omen, is being possessed by the devil. They're all kind of one and the same, but this was one of the first ones. This was probably groundbreaking at the time.
I think it was, and unfortunately for you, Greg, there's no creature features really on our list, so there's not, except
2.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. You could say maybe 3, depending. I know my lists are funny, but you could say 3. But we'll get into that further down. We'll get into that further down the line.
Yeah. Well, look, that's number 9. That's The Omen. So let's go ahead and go to number 8.
Number 8 was one that got a lot of hate over a exceptionally long scene of something that did not need to be done, really. It rhymes with the word grape.
Or vape, if you're a kid today.
Or a vapor, yeah. This was Last House on the Left. Made its appearance in 1972.
My Wes Craven, yeah?
Yeah, it was.
What a way to start.
It was well received and it wasn't well received from all the reports that I read. Obviously, I wasn't born. King, you were about 50 at that stage.
Yeah, of course. It was, yeah.
Last House on the Left, I remember seeing it. I must have been about 15 or 16, and like anybody should get uncomfortable with them kind of scenes anyway. But
Yeah.
it just goes on a bit too long for it to even be bearable. You're nearly getting the fast forward button.
So
But
much so, I don't think you'd even get to watch it on terrestrial TV now.
no, you would not know.
No.
Jesus God, no. So you don't even get The Hills Have Eyes, and that only has about a 10-second one.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
Um,
another one that was in this era.
that was in one of the honorable mentions. It didn't go
Yeah.
anywhere near. The remake was far superior.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's it.
uh,
Yeah. So a very good, and another early, like 72.
72, yeah.
So again, you're seeing the progression as the decade goes up. You're seeing the progression with effects and camera 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 work and all that kind
Trickery.
of stuff. Yeah. So
So
that's
this made number 10 on my list.
and it made 10 on mine actually. Yeah. So we made a compromise and because
We moved it up.
yeah.
Both
So
of us liked it a bit more than The Omen.
yeah. And as I said, in fairness, Dr. Fives wasn't on your list, so that was the compromise.
I,
So.
I was happy to drop the Amityville Horror out, though it, as I said, didn't age very well at all.
Yeah. So there we go. That's number 8, Last House on the Left. Okay, sliding in at number 7 is another very cool film, which didn't make my list, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. It's Carrie, which is what Stephen King novel.
Yeah, Brian De Palma.
That's right.
Best director that has never won an Oscar for me.
Absolutely.
This was phenomenal.
Brilliant film.
And you can when you go and watch it, if you know anything about De Palma, you can tell it's his style right from the very opening scenes.
Yeah, it's got that that style all over it. Yeah,
it's a slow, methodical kind of build to a big ending. Very similar to the way Mission Impossible was done. Very similar to other ones that he's done like that, Untouchables and things like that.
very much a narrative of teenage kids in America, isn't it?
Bullying, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, kids might even find it kind of, what would you say, poignant today with like all different types of bullying that there is now. You know.
Yeah, when you look at certain types of movies, obviously, we'll touch on it probably in the 80s with They Live is far more relevant now.
Oh yeah.
Than it was when it came out. This, I'd say, is the same. The bullying and people, obviously, we see things happening around where there's shootings and stuff.
Yeah. Which
is just ridiculous. And you see this girl being pushed to the edge. Now, obviously, this is she has mind powers and stuff that help her with her thing. But this was just pushed to the edge.
Yeah, Sissy Spacek was the lead role in this, and she went on.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, a few other good things, but I have to say, a tip of the cap to the ma in this. The mother was hilarious in this. You know.
Yeah, she was, and I thought even the remake was half decent with Chloe Grace Moretz.
That's right. Yeah. I suppose as remakes go, and you know.
Yeah, I'd still hold this higher. Obviously, this came out in 1976. It was one of the first King books, I think, that was done.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
But yeah, I was very, very pleased with this one.
Yeah, it's a good one, and I only saw it was only on TV a few weeks ago, believe it or not.
The original one?
Yeah. I was watching it on. Might have been Channel 4, maybe.
Good old Channel 4.
Good old Channel 4. Yeah, so that's Carrie. If you like a lot of blood in certain films, there you go. That's your film.
This made number 8 on my list.
And it was not on my list, but it would have been like 11 or 12 or so.
It was so we compromised and put it at 7 on the show's list,
which I think is fair.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right, let's rock on. People are going to be surprised at how low down on our list this next one is.
Oh, here comes all the hate.
Yep. Here we go. Number 7. Okay, folks. Here's where we
You want your trigger warning now?
Well, yeah, I think so. Because look, what I'm going to say is, we both like this film, not love it, but we understand, we appreciate its importance in history, in horror history, and that's why it's in this list. If it wasn't such a historical film, we probably wouldn't have had it in the list, to be honest with you. But
Absolutely, yeah.
it is a horror film for the ages, and it's The Exorcist.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. It's 6, bottom half of the table.
Mm.
1973. People are going to be pissed off. Why isn't that number 1? Because when you hear what's the 5 in front of it, you're going to go, well, yeah.
Touche.
And as we says, this is our list for you to watch. As I says, previous at 9, possession movies aren't really my thing. Now I can understand class in film, and this was it at the time.
Yeah. I remember there's a certain age group of people, Greg, if you remember, especially in Ireland anyway. I know, because I know it's like my mother was terrified of this film.
My parents.
Terrified of it. Even Arlene's parents are still terrified of this film. And when we look at it, like, we're looking at it, and it's like, okay, it's, you know, it was a big difference set. Like, there's different. Everyone's more open to things nowadays, but like, they didn't have internet, they didn't have phones, they didn't have everything. So I can understand how it would be scary enough to people, and especially in Ireland with the whole church being involved in the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So
like I've said it previously on shows. Obviously growing up, my parents were like, yeah, you can't watch these certain couple of movies. Nightmare on Elm Street was one, because that went well for them.
Yeah.
And The Exorcist was the other one. Also went well. I've seen both of them before the age of 12, I think. Good old Channel 4.
Yeah, Friday.
But yeah, I remember liking it, didn't love it. I've seen it probably about 10 times, and like, if it's on, there's nothing else on, I'll watch it. But I don't think it'll be the one that I'd go to the DVD collection and go, I'm gonna watch this now.
This is another one that I personally don't think needed 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah. But you know, people do like the third one, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the one with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, I think people like that one.
The Heretic, I think it's called, is it?
That's it. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't even know if I've ever seen it.
No, neither have I. So I can't comment on it, but I do feel, again, as a standalone story, this would have been just sublime. You know.
I think that's how Benchley really wanted it to be, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but as we said, studios, cash grab, blah blah blah. Yep, it's all about that dollar.
I mean, when you box money off little to nothing, they were always going to do it.
Yeah, and do you know what the perfect example of that was? The Blair Witch Project. When that made.
I don't even want to talk about the rest of them.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it was such a successful film made with little or nothing.
Well, the other big one was Paranormal Activity.
That's correct, yeah.
That was made off less of a budget.
Wow.
And boxed over the 100 million, and now there's 77 of them.
Yeah, and another one to come out.
And stay coming out. I haven't seen that after 3.
Get over.
But yeah, The Exorcist 6.
I would like if people want to tell us what they think of where this is, or where it should be on if you have it on your list, give us a list in the comments if you're that so inclined to show us your top 10 and see where, you know. It'd be nice to get a bit of a discussion going about this.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours. But yeah, The Exorcist made it to 7 on my list.
Right. Yeah, it was actually 7 on mine as well.
But so I think it probably had to go above Carrie, really.
I think so, yeah.
For the significance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sour that it's in there. I'm actually happy that it's in there. So
like, to be honest, if we didn't put it in, I'd probably shut the show down, and that'd be that.
Yeah, I don't think Dynamo would be too happy if we didn't put it in. Sure, he wouldn't.
But no, to be honest with you, whether you like it or not, it's still one of them movies you have to see.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, that's number 6. Let's get rocking with number 5.
Top 5, baby. Number 5, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, 1978.
I love that film. My
Three entries on this list came out in 1978.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
No, we haven't got to the other one yet, but
that's true.
If you're listening to this podcast and you can't work out what it is, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Go back and do your history lessons, your horror history.
Dawn of the Dead, 2 hours 10 minutes or something, was groundbreaking.
Mainly based in a shopping mall.
Yeah, and the start of it in the apartment block.
Yeah,
savage. Now, would I be right in saying the special edition cut was like 3 hours?
Yeah.
Obviously, with 1978's Dawn of the Dead, we had a previous guest on a couple of weeks ago in Jim Kurt, who was actually in this movie.
Yes, he was the helicopter zombie.
Big shout out to Jim.
Howdy, Jim.
But yeah, like this had to make it. This was groundbreaking for zombie movies.
Well, this is my favorite zombie movie, and I think I've said that to you before because many times I've said the zombies I like are the slow moving, so many of them that they're overwhelming. I like that, And don't get me wrong, there's a place for the fast moving ones as well, but just this tickles my fancy more so.
Above this one for me.
Oh yeah, you like it. I know.
I like the power and the pace.
Yeah, what I like about do you know what I thought was kind of endearing about this one, like the way that they had the zombies painted, the red blood didn't look like fucking blood, it just looked like paint.
Yeah, the white faces. Yeah,
like it was
now,
something. Yeah,
Romero done great with what he had. Him and Savini.
Absolutely, but I wouldn't knock it for that. I mean, I find it endearing. I'm like, oh,
it's of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what people are going to say. They won't watch it because it looks crap. But it's of a time.
Yeah.
1978 with what, 3 or 4 million budget.
Yeah. Amazing.
Phenomenal.
And then
the vision that Romero had was just ridiculous.
Did you ever play Dead Rising?
Oh, I loved it. Loved it.
I got an Xbox 360 specifically for that game.
I didn't know anything about that game, and someone bought it for me for Christmas, and I put it in. I was like, "What is this? It's just an open world zombie killing game."
It's brilliant.
I was like,
I mean, I think if I remember correctly, they tried to get Romero's blessing to make it a Dawn of the Dead game, or something like that. But I don't think he was allowing it or something. But because it would have been perfect.
Probably right. Probably right.
Yeah, but I love this. I love the whole thing. You know what? And I love the very end, where they're all just wandering down the mall, and it's just like all you hear is all that kind of stuff. And of course, this led to Shaun of the Dead being made by Simon Pegg. What year was that in?
04.
04. And like, I mean, talk about the perfect homage to this film.
Yeah. Like, as you said, like we referred there a few minutes ago to the fast moving ones. Obviously, Zack Snyder done. I don't know if you can call it a remake or a reboot. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, that's what the best way to reimagine it, because it's kind of the same story,
but with different styles of zombies. Yeah. More what class now is it? Like, see that kind of fast moving thing? More infected or something,
Well, the 28 Days Later is infected. These are zombies because they're dead.
Yeah, I suppose.
Where the infected in 28 Days Later, they're not dead, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're not dead. Yeah, they're not zombies.
But that's not. Just getting into it being a prick now.
You? Absolutely not.
Dawn of the Dead. What number did it make on your list, King?
Number 4.
It made number 5 in mine.
So the compromise was 5. I think I'm happy enough with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the top 4 were going to be hard to shift.
Yeah, I mean, and do you know, I thought there would have been a bit more back and forth between me and you for this top 4, but I'm happy how it turned out. I'm happy. Well,
I mean, like, anyone that knows you is going to have an idea of what's going where here. For me, it's completely flipped the script, but we compromised.
We did. Well, without further ado, let's go on to number 4.
Number 4, 1979, set in a lowly spaceship somewhere in the vast oceans of space. 6 people and a big ass alien.
E.T. No.
Alien was just off the charts.
Absolutely.
The acting, the story, the twist with Ian Holm.
Oh yeah.
Tom Skerritt getting killed in the vents. Just phenomenal.
I think it brought terror to a new level, didn't it? At that time.
That was the first real, I'd say, claustrophobic feeling where there's no way out. Yeah. Legitimately no way out.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Xenomorph obviously went on to spawn about 74 films.
Unfortunately.
64 games. 2 TV shows and whatever else.
12 musicals.
But like now owned by Disney.
Yay.
Alien was ridiculous. An Oscar winner along the way as well, as far as I remember.
I think it was, yeah. And of course, didn't we have John Hurt in this?
John Hurt, yeah. Ian Holm, Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt.
What a list.
Now, Skerritt probably obviously was big for music and stuff, but
yeah,
he played his part very well in this. But I don't know what else you can say. Like, if you haven't seen Alien, you obviously know the story, or if you don't know the story, I'm ridiculously jealous that you get to go and watch it for the first time.
Do you know something? I think that and Aliens, just those two for me, are perfect together. You know, you can watch them. Like, 3 is not bad.
They massively nosedive though, whether they're good or decent. When you look at Alien and Aliens, the similarity between Terminator and Terminator 2, the way they're done, Alien and Terminator, very horror based.
Yeah.
Aliens and T2, obviously very sci-fi based.
Yeah.
But with horror elements still.
Which is good enough for me.
But Alien was just off the charts.
Where was that on your list, by the way?
Alien on my list was 3.
People would be surprised if this was 9 on my one. You know, because like that, there are a lot of films that I love this film, but there's a lot more on the list that I prefer. You know,
I would say that this is one of the creature features on the list.
Yeah, definitely.
I also would like the public to vote Carl out of this for having it at 9. But we can't help him in that way.
Hey, come on, you know, we all have opinions. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're right or wrong.
And you know where my opinion is going to go later on down the line.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's get on to the top 3. This will be fun. This will be very interesting.
3 left.
Coming into the top 3, folks. It's a great list so far. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving again just the boys having a chat on a Friday night about horror. You know.
Shall we issue the trigger warning again now? This. Nah, I'm just gonna fucking annoy people now.
Just annoy people. Number 3 on our list.
It's gonna annoy people, and it's gonna annoy the Dynamo even more.
I know. Well, I mean, let's just put him out of his misery. We have number 3 on our list is Halloween, 1978.
1978. Yeah.
One of the best.
Sword.
One of the. I mean, when you see what we have above it, people will probably give out about number 2. I understand that, but
this was the compromise I had to make, folks. This was the compromise I had to make. Yeah. Halloween on my list made it to number 2.
And it made number 3 on my list. So.
Yeah. And I had to compromise. Like, to be fair, King compromised on other stuff, so
yeah, and that's the give and take about, and the beauty of our list is that, you know, we ended up with a list that we're both happy with, even though we had to make concessions. So I'm happy enough.
I mean, like, if you're gonna watch the 10 of these, you're gonna score them differently than we would anyway. But
yeah, That's the beauty of, you know.
Halloween, though. John
Oh,
Carpenter.
and isn't it amazing to think? And I know it's been talked about to death, but that the mask was a fucking
William Shatner
William
mask.
Shatner, man. How genius is that? Like,
Now, I'll give you a fun piece of trivia if you haven't seen the show before. We recently done an episode with Gary Smart, director of Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story.
yeah.
And he played a big part in Halloween, in obviously the iconic scene where the leaves are blown by him. He was the poor cunt that went and swept all the leaves up for John Carpenter.
And you have to
Like,
start somewhere, don't you?
I mean, like, you indirectly involved with Halloween. Like, the goat indirectly involved with Halloween.
I know.
And then obviously we had Jamie Lee Curtis making her, I'm gonna say, acting debut. I don't think she was that good in this.
Yeah, her acting was a bit
better.
sparse. Yeah.
Like, nobody really jumped out bar Pleasance.
Although what I will say about Jamie Lee, to her credit, is that she never forgets her past. You know, there's some actors who like the distance, like Linda Blair likes to distance herself from The Exorcist and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, Jamie Lee stayed true to herself.
We heard it at the Oscar win as well.
Yeah.
I won it for yous. We won an Oscar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind some of that Oscar. Yeah, as I says, her acting was a late 70s acting job, really. She was by far the best of them that wasn't Donald Pleasance. That wouldn't have been hard.
Absolutely.
But the
Donald
genuine
Pleasance...
look of terror on her face when he breaks through the wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure she probably didn't even know that was going to happen.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Donald Pleasance was fantastic in this film.
He carried his franchise, though.
Yeah.
For 6 films.
Absolutely.
Or 5 films.
Yeah, you can't count number 3.
No, it was a 5. Well, yeah, overall 4 films I think he was in.
Yeah.
Even then, Malcolm McDowell did a good job of it in the Rob Zombie remake.
Oh, God.
Not that there was much good about it, but I mean to say that's probably 2 castings they got right.
Donald.
Yeah. Sam or Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, and
Jamie Lee.
McDowell, yeah.
Oh, Malcolm McDowell.
No,
sorry,
yeah. Well, Jamie Lee was right. Scout Taylor Compton, probably not.
Yeah.
Not that it was her fault. I think there was a lot more issues in that movie than her.
Yeah, you can't blame her on it.
Sherry Moon being one of them.
Your favorite actress?
Rob Zombie getting his hands on a franchise like that is another one.
Oh, I don't need. He just needs to stop.
Yeah.
Try him, and he can't even make out an original anymore. So.
But nah, we'll go back to the original. Carpenter smashes it.
The main man. Funny enough, sorry for cutting across you. This is another one that melds the worlds of music and film together perfectly in the little bits of music that are in it. But it's iconic, and people still remember that music today.
Carpenter done it himself as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Sorry for cutting across you there.
No, you're fine. The movie overall, some people would have as the best. Now, I think when people say that this is the best horror movie of the year, or thing, it's very easy to forget that for me, there's only one better. And we'll get to that in 2 picks time. But yeah, like, I think it's very hastily to rule out what we have at number 1.
Oh yeah.
But Halloween, in all intents and purposes, as a slasher goes, phenomenal.
I think if someone turned around to us and said either one of these 3 is their favorite number 1, we'd be happy enough, you know.
Yeah, I'll always argue the same points, but
I know you. Well, you just like arguing.
It's true. It's true. But sure, we'll dive into this one and into number 2.
Number two is it's a travesty. It should be number one. No, I'm missing. It's not. This is one of my favorite films.
It absolutely should not be number one.
I was just trying to see how you take to that, you know. But number two is one of my favorite films of all time, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Obviously, not number two, not number three, not remake this, not remake that. The one true, only fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, in my opinion, made in 1974.
So you're
And
wrong
just
there.
sorry,
You're wrong there.
what
There's
do you mean?
probably there's only two good entries in the whole franchise.
Not just one. That's it.
There's two, and one is ranked higher than the other one and has
Ah,
earned more money, even with inflation.
look, you made the compromise, and I've talked good nice things about this one. Okay. Yeah, I know.
I was going to say that until you went. There's only one in the franchise.
In my opinion.
This this is also one of those ones up until maybe about 2 minutes worth of scenes wrecked it for me. I'd say it's up there as a near perfect horror movie.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's
everything.
fucking grisly.
Oh.
I'm surprised Toll Pooper wasn't arrested for fucking
abuse.
Yeah, fucking heat abuse, fucking abuse.
Isn't it mad though? Like that. Like we would talk to a lot of directors nowadays, independent directors, you know, smaller directors, and they're all doing their best to kind of recreate that kind of vibe and that feeling. You know, but I just think stuff back in, you know, it was really, you could feel how much hell and shit they were all going through that filming process. You know?
Oh yeah.
And what
Jesus,
and that it made it. Oh, it made it so much more real. And when you hear stories about how like they didn't get paid, and yeah, fair enough, like not like they didn't get paid properly, or you know, there was so many kind of shenanigans going on behind the scenes. It's a pity that the actors didn't get their proper dues, you know, because like the film only really kind of start getting a cult following in the 90s more so, really.
It was banned in a lot of places, though, don't forget.
What I love about that though, Greg, is there's feck all blood in it. It's all like, you know, like they were like, oh, it's disgusting, it's gory, you know. No, you just see Leatherface sawing someone up off screen.
I think the scene that everyone really remembers is that lump hammer scene.
Oh, I love it.
Where he's just twitching.
Splap.
Yeah. Everyone remembers the door sliding over with the big red wall behind it.
All right, I love when he puts a woman on the hook.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Brutal.
It's rough. As it says, it's almost up there as perfect until, like, the dinner scene is great up until that point when they bring the granddad in. For me, I'm just lost then. Like, completely lost. It doesn't need to be there. Like, if you could give me a cut of that movie without that scene in it, I'm grand. But
I might try and do that. I might try and do that, actually.
Looking at it, like, Franklin is by far and away the most annoying cunt of a character you'll ever see in any movie ever.
So I enjoyed that kill, absolutely.
How often is it that you actually root for the disabled person to be killed?
Every time. Every time.
That's not even a thing. People might get offended by that, but I don't give a fuck. I wanted that cunt to die a horrible death in that movie.
Yeah, he was really, really annoying, wasn't he?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, look, we won't dwell too much on this film because nearly any time I'm on, I talk about it. Y'all know how I feel about it. Y'all know how Greg feels about it.
Gunnar Hansen was ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm raging I never got to meet him. I really am.
Now let me ask you then, right, before we move on to number one, right? Everyone talks about how high this movie is, right? And I've said that in Halloween that Jamie Lee's acting wasn't spectacular, right? Everyone talks about Marilyn Burns in this being savage.
Oh, she does.
I thought she was one of the worst of the friends in this.
Do you know what? I'd actually agree with you on that. I think the woman,
like, Franklin was probably the best of them, acting of it.
Yeah, but your woman that, like, even if they had to keep a final girl, your woman that got hung up,
the friend
was probably a better actress, like, you know. But I mean, but maybe they kept her for a screaming chops because all she does in the last couple of minutes of the film is scream.
I mean, well, look what's happening to her.
Yeah, so
But like, she was good, but she was no way like people telling me that she's one of the best final girls ever.
no,
Absolutely not.
no, I wouldn't say that. And I love this
I
film
would
for that.
I wouldn't even have her in the top 50. I wouldn't think.
I don't know. That's, you know what? That's a show for another day, actually.
We are working on some guests to come on and do
Yeah,
that show.
yeah.
Whenever that happens, is
So we'll keep that to our under our chest for the moment. You know, we keep that for the
mm,
moment. So that I'm happy
shall
enough with TCM because I got it number 2. What did you have it as?
4.
Yeah. So I'm happy enough. It ended up where I do
So
think it should be.
right, we'll give you a quick recap then. At 10, The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Hmm.
9, The Omen. 8, Last House on the Left. 7, Carrie. 6 was The Exorcist. King, bring us up to number 1.
Yeah. Number 5 we had Dawn of the Dead, and number 4 Alien, and number 3 Halloween, number 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and now we are going to give you the number 1 horror film of the 70's.
And quite possibly ever. Well, down to number 1, King. This is one we matched on.
Absolutely. How could we not?
How could you not? Like, this is where I say when people tell me Halloween's the best horror movie of the 70's. No, not even close. Not even close. We'll swim into number 1.
Well, we're going to need a bigger boat, so.
Yeah. We'll head to Amity Island. 1975. Jaws.
What a film.
Nothing else needed to be said. We'll just end the episode here. It's done.
Bye.
It's that good. You don't even get the ending speech from me.
We have to do that. We have to.
What can you say? Like, Dreyfus, Shaw, and Schneider, fucking phenomenal.
Mm.
Now, this movie has one of the worst castings in movie history, with the mother of Alex Kitchener ever. Like, ridiculous casting, but like, you get a wholehearted story out of that, where she said she went into a restaurant in Amity Island years later and seen the name of the sandwich was Alex Kitchener, and it turned out it was the young fella that done it. He used the money from Jaws to open his restaurant, and it's the first time they'd seen each other from set. Like, things like that's great.
Yeah.
Just for the record, the dog does survive. He swims to the Bahamas. He's fine.
Thankfully.
No, like, suspense. Like, what? Like, the opening scene in this. Like, you don't expect that at all.
No, absolutely not.
Obviously, you hear stories that she got broken ribs and stuff from the mechanics pulling her around, but that's hazard to the job.
Exactly. I mean, she didn't die, so.
Well, she did.
Yeah, in character she did, but
But what can you say about Jaws? What needs to be said about Jaws? If you haven't seen Jaws, you have to be out in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. Now, do you know what? I mean, the whole thing about the mechanical shark, yeah, and I know it doesn't look as good now, but when you still think about, like, I was only watching the other night with Arlene.
Still have it over any CGI.
Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, the shark looks crap." I goes, "No, it was made of its time, and it's still like there are certain. I know there was scenes where they actually used real sharks, and they had that, but like on the main things with the animatronic thing, it looks great. I don't care. Yeah. It looks great.
You have to be able to differentiate the time.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me any director now that could do that. Do you know what I mean? Make it look as good as it did.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe that Spielberg should have left the original Alex Kitchener kill in.
Yeah.
Where you see the shark coming up and taking him, rather than him cutting away. But I think he would have gotten more trouble for that.
Probably would have been worse nowadays, but like,
yeah,
it would have been. It would have added to the, what would you say, the horror of it, of it.
But like, Rob Shaw, just
the oldest looking young man ever.
Yeah, 50 years of age or something. He looks about 90. interactions with the three lads on the boat were fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I love when Hooper's bringing in the cage, and he's like, "What's that? It's a shark cage. What do you do? You get in it. Cage goes in the water. You go in the cage. Sharks in the water. Farewell." In Spanish, they
Yeah.
just walks off and leaves them.
I
Um,
love when he goes, the taxidermy man's gonna love what I bring him. You know.
yeah, that's when they catch the tiger shark.
Yeah.
But like some of his monologues in this is just off the charts.
Hmm.
Like the bit just before the Indianapolis scene, where they're showing off their injuries,
I love
and he's like, "I have a lump here, he's a broken arm," and he's
it.
like, "More," and then Hooper's like, "More a bit true, a bull shark thing." He's like a treasure shark, and he's like, "You want to drink to my leg? I'll drink to my leg. We'll drink to our legs." Uh, and then obviously you get the Indianapolis scene.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest monologues in film history for me.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Fantastic. And I don't think anyone else could have done it better.
4 minutes or something it takes.
Yeah.
It's just
Which
you
yeah.
buy into every word he says.
Yeah. You'd believe he was in that.
I especially love like they used real knowledge that they had of sharks. Where he's like, the shark's eyes are black eyes, like a doll's eyes, until they bite you and they roll over white. Like, it's just.
And of course, this was a book initially, wasn't it?
Benchley book, yeah.
Mm.
Beardsley's the footballer. Benchley, yeah.
Benchley, yeah.
Or Beard, yeah, something like that, yeah. But he has another book about a shark, right? It's called The Creature.
Okay.
And it's about a shark that can walk on land. It's like there's a like, do you know when Stephen King movies were made, like relatively TV movies? There's a TV movie of it.
Okay.
That's not that bad. I remember
God.
Sky One used to show it. But like it's about I don't know what it is. I can't remember how the shark gets to have legs. But it's set in Jamaica or something.
God.
Yeah.
Like
there's one to check out. I don't know when it came out, but I remember seeing it years ago.
Well, I think on that note, that's a great note to finish up on. I've really enjoyed doing our top 10 of you.
It's been nearly a year since we've done the last one.
Yeah, so
it's good to be back doing it. It won't be nearly as long before we hit the 80s, and that's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say there'll be a bit more discussion before we go on air.
I imagine we might as well start now and record it next year. Because I know where my number one is already lying.
Well, I'm saying nothing for now.
Take it. But like we mentioned, this man in the list already. He was down at number 5 for Dawn of the Dead, and unfortunately there was 4 better movies, and all 4 of them are probably superiorly better than it.
Yeah.
For him, but doesn't mean to say it's a bad fucking movie. But in the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared.
Woo!